Hey there, how's it going? Welcome to the Copy Closer podcast. I am Tiffany here interviewing an awesome, badass copywriter. This is Laura Catella. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in, see how did she get started with copywriting, with marketing, and really where did she go and where was she before that? So let's go ahead and give her a chance to get started with her story. What's going on, Laura?
Hey, Tiffany. It's so great to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
My story. My, oh, my, oh, my. So my internet marketing, copywriting journey really began what is now unbelievably 10 years ago in 2008 after I graduated from college, this prestigious New York school where I thought, my life's going to be made after getting out of school. Everything's going to be fine. I thought I would do investment banking because all the banks would come recruit all the time. And I was like, oh, this is what you do now. You become an investment banker. Of course, that was 2008, which was when the economy crashed. And not only was it very difficult to get a job, any jobs that I did get, I didn't enjoy. One of the reasons I thought I wanted to do investment banking was because I wanted to become very wealthy, but I wanted the money for the freedom. And it turns out you don't have a lot of freedom when you're working 60 hours a week and you have to bring your work home with you. So in 2008, I literally Googled the phrase, how do you make money online? And I found the Warrior Forum, which I know a lot of people who have been doing this for a while might remember, might feel like a throwback. And I learned about internet marketing, affiliate marketing, and what really struck a chord with me was copywriting. Because I'd always been both a writer and a salesperson. The few jobs I had were I was doing like door-to-door sales, working commission only. And I always enjoyed writing. So it was literally the fusion of those two things. And I was like, this is going to be it. I'm going to do this. And I started with no samples to point to. All I was able to do was write my own posts, selling my own services. And I was like, hey, if you like this post, think of what I can do for you. I literally looked at a handful of examples. I just made sure to charge less than everybody else. I said, I'm charging the least because, you're going to be my first client and I'm going to do this for you. And I closed 5 clients. They just purchased right from the PayPal button. I didn't have to talk to them. I didn't have to do anything overnight. And this was a time where I was worried about paying my rent. I was, worried about buying enough food or buying the food that I want to buy. And so that was just really transformative to literally make some money overnight without having to answer to a boss, without having to show up somewhere. And my life was forever changed from that moment. And that's really how it all began.
Right? That's crazy. You go from investment banking to writing from home. So it's definitely not the route you think you would go. But I love it, though. I love it. So really, a lot of people, when they get into marketing, internet marketing, even copywriting, they have that issue with charging. So how did you get over that boundary of figuring out your price? Not only did you say that you started out with doing as, lower than everybody else, so that way you can be like, yeah, you're my first client, but where did you go from there? How did you move up in price range with that?
I think that's a great question because it's something I had to work on for a while. I would still recommend to somebody who's new to, first of all, don't do it for free if you can, try to charge something and then raise your prices quickly. Don't get stuck being like that budget friendly copywriter. And one, just charge more, just say, no, this is what I charge now. If people can't do it, that's fine. You'll find somebody else. And tie what your fees into the result. So once I was able to point to results here's an offer that, converts at whatever, 2% on cold traffic. They make this much per sale. So they're doing X amount per month on this page. So, I can bring you similar results. And I was always willing to edit, revise once we have data. So it's not just like a one-off, like hit and run thing. So I tie that extra value to them there. And I could tell, I'll keep working until we get the result. So this page is going to be bringing you this much every month, like literally do the math for them. So if it's this much every month, you'll be making this much every year from this page. And then my fee, even as it like raised to like 25 grand and up, it becomes paltry in comparison to the long-term value of what they're going to be getting. Literally do the math, even though it's like simple math, your clients can do it for them, because then they can't ignore those bigger numbers. And then your number becomes small in comparison.
Smart. As much as it could take out all of that equation and that complication, anything that makes them have a headache, you make it easier, you're closing that deal faster. I agree. That's great. So what were some of the biggest influences in your life that got you into that copywriting wholeheartedly? And what kind of helped you increase your skills, and where did you go from there?
Right now, I would say my current influences are my daughter, because looking at her, I realized, oh my God, I have to be this incredible example to her. And that definitely forces me to level up. And it's like, be the person you pretend to be. So I truly have to like become that person. I have to remember to take care of myself so I can take better care of my family and better care of the business. Whereas before, it's easy to like, I wake up and then I'm in my pajamas and I'm starting work on stuff without giving myself the care. And then it all no one's getting 100% that way.
Yeah.
So she's forced me to realign properly, and then everybody gets so much more. So that's been really transformative. I really like following Sarah Blakely as somebody who encourages me to go for it and to be yourself and to be unapologetic about it. Embrace your quirkiness. The more people you can kind of summon in your own head, I think is just going to make you a better copywriter without having to bug them to actually critique your work.
I agree. That's a good one. So yeah, that's definitely a big one. So really, when it comes down to it, what are some tactics, some, strategies, methods that you've noticed that work, but a lot of people either ignore them or they just kind of, don't use them. They don't know about them, maybe something along those lines. What would you say?
And I've been thinking a lot about this for obviously to just try to stay current and ahead of what's happening. And I think for one, and this is probably something that's been brought up a fair amount, is compliance, right? And creating offers with particularly Facebook compliance in mind, because when you're able to run offers on Facebook, I mean, anything good that happened to me last year happened because I had an offer compliantly running on Facebook. Because with the targeting, the conversion rates can just be really incredible. So, but that's all one thing. But that also kind of leaves this whole opportunity of creating aggressive offers as well, or the same offer, but with a more aggressive landing page for your email traffic, or maybe for some native traffic. So instead of just thinking of one or the other, I think really planning for both from the onset, and planning to have a social media presence, planning to have your product listed on Amazon if you can under a trademark, doing all of those things beforehand so that so you have different streams, and another, so it's harder to get ripped off. And so your potential customers can see your social media presence before they buy, because they're getting more and more savvy. So instead of feeling the impulse, clicking the link and buying, they're going to open another tab. They're going to Google you. They're going to check for your product or a similar product on Amazon. So the more you can be spread out and there before you even launch, I think the better. That's kind of the more like things on the computer and the cell phone. Another thing I've been thinking a lot about is like having a presence on the smart speakers or through voice search. If your content or your copy or your landing page or whatever is friendly to like a voice query, then you're going to come up there, and that's really, really neat. And of course, I think virtual reality. Stefan and I just got the Oculus Quest one, it's incredible. I totally recommend. It's so much fun. And that's going to be like a Wild West. You know how Google was a Wild West, Facebook was a Wild West. That's going to be the next Wild West with like a ton of opportunity to have all sorts of offers, have all sorts of cheeky advertising. So I think I think that's a huge opportunity for like multi-generational wealth. If you like have presences there, however you want to do it, if you want to run offers, if you want to create games and collect data, there's just limitless opportunity there too.
That's true. That's true. Virtual reality is becoming huge. And it's, it's one of those things like Bitcoin. People thought, I need to get in at the beginning, but I am skeptical. And now all these people are like, I should have got in. So that's definitely one of those things that, get in it if you can, especially if it has something to do with your market in some way. And if it's not, like you said, data entry is a huge thing. The more you can get on the buyers, the more you can push stuff to them to where they're going to buy instantly, and you don't have much skepticism, as we talk about. So really, what are some of your goals, your future goals? How are you doing in your basically not really just your copywriting, but if you have a brand new business you're looking to start up?
Yeah, so I am starting a skincare brand, which I know, talking about like women in the space, women are always like, I want to do skincare. Right. But to speak very candidly, one of the reasons I want to do skincare is because of having that compliance in mind. It's much easier to sell a topical versus an ingestible on Facebook, on native traffic, and all the places that can convert really well. And getting the merchant processing for it. It's like I could run it on Shopify. Shopify doesn't really want you to sell supplements, but you could sell skincare, you could sell hair products, topical hair products on Shopify. So that, in addition to having a passion for skincare, is the reason I'm going in that direction. And I've definitely taken lessons from last year, and I'm applying them to this. So I'm being prepared to be on all channels. I'm taking the time, because we've all heard so many times, it's kind of like a trope at this point, that money loves speed, money loves speed. Sure, that's great. But now I think we're at the point where we have to like filter that back through slowing down a little bit and making sure you have your back end in place, making sure you have your abandoned cart in place, making sure you have, even if they never buy from you, making sure you have the correct affiliate offer in place so you could still monetize that person. So I'm doing all of those things. I'm making sure my product is beautiful, it's vegan, it's cruelty-free, it's chock full of the active ingredient. I'm really able to differentiate from a lot of drugstore, even luxury items, by just making these things so potent, because that's the way you really see the effects on your skin. So I'm taking the time to do all of that. And I'd like to believe that all of this planning is also going to help me create a sellable brand instead of just like a one-off offer, which is great. And there's a time and place for that. There's nothing wrong with it. But having been there and having done that, I feel like this is the next evolution for me as a businesswoman.
Another one that what you brought up is a great one: constructive criticism. A lot of times people can't even take this from a friend, a family member, let alone taking it from their clients. I know that as a copywriter, it's more so on a project basis where you're gonna get criticism from them, but it's more of like, okay, I think we should go this route instead of this route. Not more of a, you're wrong, you're doing this completely ugly, I don't like this. Like, that's not what you're gonna get. Most of the time you get someone that's very, very helpful and will at least guide you in the right direction. If you get someone that's bashing you, I tend to say that that's not a great client to have. They may not be someone you should work with continuously. So what helps you to kind of get over that whole, like you said, ego thing of taking in constructive criticism?
I think first, as a copywriter, you should kind of assess where you're at. So if you understand, like, I'm a young copywriter, or maybe you're in a niche that you've never written in before, and your client brings you things, I feel like if you're going to call yourself a copywriter, you should kind of know in your heart if they're bringing something that's going to help or that you truly believe is going to make it worse. And then if you truly believe it's going to help, you'd be like, oh, that's a great suggestion. Let me implement that. And your client's going to love that. And if you truly, I also think you should always have the clause, if possible, when you make the deal with a client, like, first, we're going to test this as I have prepared it. And then if they agree to that, then they're giving you like the proper respect. And then you don't have to worry about them like bombarding you with unnecessary feedback, and you're able to test it just how it is. I think always trying to make that arrangement will serve you greatly. But of course, and then so basically the first part is really the second part of what I said. So I think that was confusing. But if they then say, I really, really think like if we add this angle or if we add this style of call to action, whatever it may be, I think you're kind of think about the result and don't think about yourself, because it really has nothing to do with you. So if they're giving you input that's going to help the results, then implement it, and then always have that clause to test it as you've written it.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great one. So with that, when you're getting this feedback from a client, and say, for example, you need to fire a client, do you have a process that you go about, or have you just gotten to the point where you're like you just kind of softly let them go? Like, I know a lot of people, this is a hard challenge. A lot of people go through, they don't understand that, like you said previously, you have to be able to say no to certain people. And certain projects are just not under your belt. They're just not something you could do. So I know that a few people have told me, like, how do you fire a client? How would you even know like who to fire?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I do think the sooner you could have like a system in place for doing that, the better off you'll be. So you don't have to kind of waffle and half do it and half answer, because then you're not presenting your best self to the client, and then they're going to get more mad, and it's a vicious cycle. First of all, I think, especially with the more experience you get, you see the red flags before you two even form a deal. So if they're being very like tricky to come to an agreement with, you're kind of like, oh God. If they want to get on the phone with you 10 times and kind of ask for like tons of advice, and it's great, one or two times, that's fine. Like, I'll give you loads of value, I'll tell you exactly how this is going to work. But once you're kind of just draining my time and we're not getting any closer to inking a deal, like, that's a big red flag. So once you've kind of tallied these red flags, I think it's better the sooner you cut it off, the better. And then that's going to free you up for that client who is going to be a dream client, because believe me, they're out there. High paying clients, they run exactly what you give them. They don't pester you for updates. They're out there. So do not, as soon as you sense like 2-3 red flags, try to cut it off there. Yeah, because you always sort of get the sense before you even begin working with them if they're going to be a problematic client.
Exactly. Yeah. Because if not, then you're going to get these clients that you're doing work for, and then they're going to want a refund. They're going to turn around and use your work because they first off loved it in the first place, but they're just the type that they're, just irritable clients. They're ones that are going to cause problems no matter what. Either you end up giving a full refund, or you're going to do a half refund, or it hits your reputation. That's something that's very serious with copywriters too. So reputation is a big thing. If you're scamming people, if there's even one note that comes out that you've scammed somebody because, they're just a bad client and they took it out on you. So you just got to, like she said, have a system in place. Make sure that you're doing this nicely. You're not just, F off. I don't want you as a client anymore.
Yes.
Because that's going to kill your reputation. You need that for referral bases and stuff like that as well. So
yes.
I loved this interview. We've had tons of value in it. So how can someone find you if they're reaching out, whether it's to your business to hire you, or maybe they just want to reach out on social media and connect?
I think the best way would be to find me on Facebook. You could look me up at Laura Catella, Catella, and I should pop up with that. And you could also find me at lauracatella.com.
Awesome. And guys, follow her for sure, because it's not just her posts that are going to give you content. She puts out videos. She's always traveling. There's family advice. There's everything. It's not just marketing and entrepreneurial. So thank you again for coming on. I appreciate it so much. Guys, thank you
Thank
for
you, Tiffany.
watching.
It has been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for watching. This again is the Copy Closer podcast. And I'm Tiffany, and have an awesome day.